happy to report that Tim Hauraney has found some high ground and not floated away. I've been seeing all the videos on TikTok, Tim. Vegas Grand Prix, but will there be? Because there's been a lot of rain in Vegas.
There has. I mean, just getting here yesterday, and we flew in nice and sunny and got our bags, and we're walking out, and I look outside, and it's just like black, like in the distance. And I landed at like 11 a.m., and I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, it's not nighttime. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, that's not rain, is it? Does it rain here? I'm like, does it actually rain in the desert? Sure as hell it does, Adam, because it poured rain. Poured.
It's cloudy behind you. You got this. You were saying you got the sphere behind you. Got a huge Ferris wheel behind you as well.
Ferris wheel there. Yep. Yeah. Got the Ferris wheel. Got the sphere here. It poured rain, man. And there was parts of the strip that were like flooded. It was like water just like pooled up and it had nowhere to go. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, how are they going to do this weekend?
Right.
But I don't know if there is scheduled to be any more rain for Friday or Saturday. We're taping this obviously on Media Day, which is Wednesday.
Yeah.
And hopefully the rain holds off for tonight, because this is obviously when we do all our sit downs with the drivers and things of that nature. So yeah, I'm just hoping it doesn't rain during the periods that we have to actually be at the track to do things, because not a lot of cover over there unless you run to the media center, which is it's a little further away from the paddock.
Right. And I how much time do they need to set up? Like,
oh my God!
Like this is the thing. Like, if this doesn't let up, Tim, it's going to be. I'm going to even just look up the Las Vegas weather forecast.
So at the moment, Adam, like mostly everything's like set up and pretty much ready to go. It's all like the finer details at this moment, where it's like things in the paddock need to be set up, like some banners, things of that nature. Sometimes they spend some time laying down carpet inside like the paddock hospitality areas and things of that nature. But for the most part, like the track is pretty much set up and that
okay.
thing. Yeah. Like,
and are the teams gonna have enough time to set up like their hospitality suites and stuff?
Yeah. So like all that stuff is pretty much like good to go. Like that's the thing with like F1, right? When they're such a traveling circus, as people call it. And it really is, because when F1 sort of lands, everything is almost, if not 90% set up and good to go. Like they could throw a race tonight kind of thing. So I would say, Adam, like it's impressive to see what organizers of Grand Prix have to do to get the races set up and good to go. But for Las Vegas, I mean, one of the things is every year keep coming back. They just get more and more efficient at it. Like the first year obviously had its teething problems, right? And then the second year got a little bit better. Now into the third year here, and traffic is moving seamlessly, where in the first year it did not. And there isn't a lot of congestion around. There's a lot of easier ways for people to walk around. And so I would say like that refining of the race is really taking a pretty big step forward.
Okay. And I'm curious about the weather, because right now it's about 14 degrees there. Obviously, there's a little bit of rain scheduled for tomorrow, but then sunny over the weekend. People make the mistake that essentially that it's going to be beautiful all year round in Vegas, and the reality is this is desert, and so because of the lack of humidity and that sort of thing, it cools down at night always, which is why they do this race at night. But Tim, honestly, this is a year where they could probably do it during the day. It's only going to be about 18 degrees for the high this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. What are we expecting from the tires?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question. Obviously, is trying to get heat into the tires with these cars because of how cold it is here. I mean, there were some people telling me they were worried it may snow like for the race on Saturday. I don't think it's going to snow. However, it is really cold here at night, and experienced it a lot last year. Like last year, we were here. I was very underprepared for just how cold it got, because during the day it actually is kind of nice. It was around 19, 20. The sun was out. Walking over to the track, you're kind of like sweating because you have a sweater on because you knew it was going to get a little colder at night. But then once that sun goes down, man, it is freezing here. It's like back home in Toronto type type cold. That's what it feels like anyways. And I would say for this year, I think it's similar things. I think it's going to be just as cold as it was last year, and last year it was very cold. I brought my winter jacket and like extra base layers just to stay warm, because you get going back and forth from the media center to paddock it's a lot. So you kind of want to just find a spot in paddock, sort of hang out, go inside some of the team hospitalities to grab a coffee to warm up, kind of thing. And for the most part, do the job within the paddock as much as you can without having to go back and forth from media center to paddock. So making sure that I have lots of base layers and stuff like that is pretty important, because it gets really cold here at night.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's almost like the ultimate sort of fall day in North America, right? It's like you start with your sweater and your coat on, and then midday you strip it all off, and then by the end of the day you're putting it all back on again.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I'm curious about what you expect. Like, we are pre-media here, so obviously we have not heard from the Ferrari group. But before we get to the track run through, which we got ready to go for you, I want to talk about what you've heard thus far about Ferrari. Obviously, John Elkann's comments. We talked about that with Nate Saunders on the last podcast here, which is a spectacular deep dive for anybody that missed it. He's telling his drivers to talk less and drive more. It was not well received. Where do we stand right now, Tim?
At the moment, Adam, and nothing has really changed from what we had reported, obviously, last week, and then from there, our deep dive with Nate. I would say, the drivers are going to be asked about it. They have 2 TV pen sessions that are set up later for tonight. I'm definitely going to be try to get front and center for both of those to get my questions in. They did avoid going into the FIA press conference. Now, I don't know if that was by choice. I don't know how much back and forth there was between the team and the FIA to avoid doing it. I'll find out a little bit more on that later when I get to the track tonight. But for the most part, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc are going to have to stand into the mic, man, and take some good ones for, the 10 minutes at least, just standing there getting peppered from the TV.
Based on your experience, I mean, like, Lewis can be cryptic, Charles can be cryptic. It's rare that you see Charles be super direct and cutting. I've seen Lewis do it. What version of Lewis Hamilton are we going to get, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. It's because Lewis can be, he can be hit or miss sometimes when it comes to like question and answer. And I think, I don't want to make excuses here, but I think we all can kind of be like that. Sometimes, you're either willing and eager to do something or you're not. And I think for him, he's pretty open and honest, man. Like, that's one of the things that I really appreciate and respect about Lewis for the most part. When you ask him a question, you usually get your answer. He doesn't usually tap dance around the issue, which I really respect. I wish a lot of the other drivers would do that as well. It would help things go a long way for sure. For tonight, I mean, I think he knows he's going to be asked about it. I think he already knows what he wants to say. Like, this is probably something he's had thought about and penned out like last week, right? Like, right. He's already had this thing in his mind of what he probably wants to say and retort. And yeah, we'll see what that is. I think it comes down to the media, where if Lewis does give like straightforward opinion on John Elkann's quotes, then I think it comes down to people like myself to be creative with the questions, to try and look at it differently, ask it differently, and approach it from a different perspective.
Have you got anything in mind? Like,
I do, but I'm not going to say it on here.
Not even on your show. You're not going to tell us. All right. Fair enough. You know what? It's time that we go through the track rundown here at the Vegas Grand Prix. Tim and I recorded a sim session. Have a look and see what the drivers are in for. The Las Vegas Grand Prix. Let's go, baby. Last 3 races of the season. We're already here, Tim, if you can believe it. And by the way, we're pre-recording this because Tim will be at the track when this happens.
Yes.
So this is kind of a big deal that, Tim's, you went to the first 2. And I have to ask you, like, atmosphere-wise, because, there was so much pushback locally against this happening.
I think there still is.
Is there still?
Probably.
Okay, it was like very well publicized and blah, 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 blah. And the manhole covers are coming off, whatever. That was a couple years ago. Tim, now, when you've gone and seen it, what's it like?
I mean, the first year was, obviously for a new race that's of this size and scale, Adam, there were a lot of tricky situations for the organizers to manage. And I think, it started off pretty rough. But as the weekend sort of evolved, it got better. And I would say from the first year to the second year, you could see like dramatic improvements, like huge, just in terms of getting around, making sure the infrastructure and the timing of everything was really tight. I think still fiddling around with the hours, trying to figure out where is that sweet spot. I still feel with this race weekend, they may need to go back another hour, maybe 2.
Because it is late, right?
It is late. Like, it's going to be 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that, for your broadcast window, for Canada and for America, like, that's a huge window of opportunity to get eyeballs on the sport. It does well in terms of its viewership. There's no question about that. It's the hours that maybe you could try and find a way of pushing it back a little bit. And then maybe the strip isn't closed for as long as it actually is.
Right. And you got to do it at night because it is hot during the day, but it does cool down. You got to bring a jacket. This is the desert, right?
Yeah, it's cold.
Once that sun's gone, it's cold. Now, let's go around the track here because, Tim, this is another street track. And for F1 purists, that's anathema. That's not something that they love. But this isn't a bad one.
It's not horrible, no. It does actually open itself up to some really good racing. But Adam, like you had said with the temperatures and how cold it gets here, it does affect these cars. It does affect the tires, and it affects the setup on these cars as well. Normally with these cars, you're not running like a ton of downforce, so the car slides a lot. It doesn't ever really feel like it just kind of grips up and hooks up. I really feel with this track, there's a lot of smoothness involved with your driving. You can't really be aggressive with how hard you get on the brakes. You can't be really aggressive with your turn in and then also getting back to the throttle. You have to be very precise with how you do it. So there's a lot of technique involved with this particular track, especially coming into turn 1 here. You would think that from here you're sort of flat out, but since, like I had said, the track is cold, the tires are really cold, it doesn't grip up as well, you can't run as much downforce. It's just this quick short shift up into 4th, and then you can start getting flat out around here. I think in qualifying it'll be 5th gear, almost flat out through here. In the game at this moment, it's a lift in the middle of the corner, and then you're squeezing back onto the power, and you're kind of driving the car out towards this wall.
Right.
So essentially you're trying to straighten the wheel as much as possible, because with that corner, the more you turn the wheel, the more speed you scrub, and you can hear it in the engine. The engine just bogs right down, and you're not keeping that momentum and the pace up. So very important corner because you have this nice little long straightaway, DRS open all the way down. A little bit of a tricky braking section here. You want to brake late, but if you can see, the track actually goes up a little bit.
Yeah,
you can see it just raises just that tiny little bit. And you see from inside here, you can see how it's just
a slight elevation. I'm glad they caught that in the game.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's just those little tiny things that you pay attention to. But as you're coming up to here again, down into 3rd gear, you want to keep the pace and the momentum going through this turn, but it's a blind apex. So it's hard to build up that confidence. And on the exit, you don't just get back to the power, right? You got to really just squeeze it all the way on. This is, I would say, this next corner is probably one of the more trickier braking sections in F1. And
in
also
all of F1.
It's very tricky because you're coming out of there, you have load on the front of the car, and you're essentially asking a lot from everything all at once, because when you're braking, if I reverse a little bit here, as you're sort of braking into this corner, you see how much angle there is in it?
Yeah.
That blue, you have this dark blue, and then it goes to like neon green, and then aqua blue,
Yep.
the wall. You're essentially turning by there. Like
wow.
you're already into the corner.
So and it gets to be a sharper hook.
But you're still flat out here.
Yes. So what do you do? How do you handle it?
Still hauling ass, right? So as you're coming in, you see these marks on the ground. I've been using those as sort of like a reference as to getting back onto the brakes. So what I've been doing in the game is I've been adjusting the front brake bias. So if you look at the bottom right corner, you can see it's at around 59%. That's a lot, but for this particular track, you can do it because you don't want to have rear locking. As soon as you get what's called rear locking, so if I get onto the brakes really, really hard, the rear tires, if there's too much brake bias on the rear tires, they're going to quickly lock up. And as soon as they do that, they chatter and it'll spin you around and you'll go right into the wall. So you got to move a lot of that bias to the front of the car so you can get this braking while you have a lot of steering angle in the car. So there's a lot of load going onto that right front tire as you try and get down. You're in about second gear. You want to take just a tiny bit of this curbing. For this, you want to take a lot of this curbing. But the car is going to be sort of high-sided, so you got to wait for it to land on this green stuff and then kind of get back onto the power. And this is sort of Mickey Mouse stuff. You're off the power, you're waiting for it to turn in, you're waiting, clip a little bit of that, and then squeeze the power all the way down. This is straight up. This is flat out the whole way through, making sure you're getting the right steering angle through here. And as we come up to this next section, so past this, there's a bridge right here.
Right.
It's good to use this as a reference marker, but you have to be so precise with your braking. Like as soon as you get to like here, you got to be on the brakes as hard as possible, making sure that bias is towards the front and downshifting all the way to third gear. And for this part, this takes us onto the strip. So it's the longest stretch of pavement on the F1 calendar when it comes to straightaways. And there's a couple different ways these drivers can attack it. One, if you really want to carry a lot of speed and be on the limit with everything, you can literally come in here and take a bit of this curb. But if you're going to take some of this curb, the car is going to land. And once it lands, you have to make sure you're getting back onto just enough power.
Yeah, could there be a bit of a speed wobble there?
Because there's a huge wall right here.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to try and get the wheel a little straighter, and you're literally almost going to like...
And then hook away.
You're literally, that's what it's like at like, fourth gear or whatever, like
and
almost 200 kilometers an hour.
As fast as you can go.
As fast as you can go. So that's one way. There is another way. It's a little more conservative. And, that's okay because some of the drivers are going to be a little conservative with this thing. Is braking like way, way, way earlier and really trying to be as smooth and get a stable front end. So you're going to be braking like... Yeah, somewhere around in here. And you're going to be coming all the way down, brake around here, not at this bridge. Give yourself a little bit of that wiggle room like I talk about when I talk about if you're on like a purple sector and you want to complete the lap, down into third and just turn in nice and late and straight line it all the way out of the corner.
Okay.
Instead of clipping a bit of that curb. Now, with this straightaway, it does have bumps in it, so you have to make sure you're not grinding too much of the floor down, so you have to find where the smoothest part of the track is, and that's really much over on the left-hand side. And then you're going to start bringing it all the way over, all the way to the right side. Now, this is an interesting braking section here. You can see, again, there's elevation. Like, it's very, very subtle, but it really affects the car a lot. And so if we go back... So we're doing like,
I can see it.
Yeah, 300 and whatever it is, 70 something kilometers an hour. You're going to want to brake around 170 meters, but you can see how the car just rose up there.
Yes.
You have to wait for the car to rise up and for it to settle a little bit before you touch anything, right? Because
what
the car's
if you don't?
starting to like come off the ground,
yeah,
right? Because the downforce can only get you down so much. So you got to make sure that you're not doing anything. You're flat out all the way up through that little thing. But as soon as you get over that, 120 meters is going to arrive like instantaneously. So then you got to quickly get off the throttle, really hard on the brakes. Really, really hard. All the way down to third gear, coming down to this 50-meter board, and then you're basically like turning in. And with this section of track here, it's one of those things where you can take a bit of this curbing if you want. But you have to be really precise with it because, again, if you take too much of it, you're going to go into the wall. And if you don't take enough of it, you're not going to be able to get back onto power sooner. So if you just clip just a tiny bit of it, it'll kind of straighten the car out a bit for you. And if you can see, we have this red red, white curbing in front of us. And then if you draw a line from the helmet all the way directly towards the Pirelli yellow sign at the opposite end of the track, where it's a little blue there, you want to try and make sure this steering wheel is as straight as you can possibly get it, because you're going to go back to full power and you need to be really aggressive through here with the throttle. And if you're not, and if you don't have the steering wheel dialed in just perfectly, you're not going to be able to get back to full power. And if you try to, you're going to just smash the shit out of the car.
All right, so there's a lot of, hey, if you don't do this, the car's toast.
Yes,
okay,
exactly. So you got to be really precise coming through
so
here.
So you might call it a gamble.
Yes, but if you get it right, good, well done. But if you get it done perfectly, you're going to just skim the wall, nice. And then
beautiful.
You're back on, and we're almost finished our lap. With this next section, you'll see a lot of drivers, this curbing, start to turn in, and they're going to take a lot of this. That's not even really a curbing at all. It's basically just like paint on the ground.
Right.
So like the drivers will try and manipulate this part of the tracks as much as
they possibly can.
Because the straighter they can get the car, the faster they're going to go.
Now, as I said, Tim will be down there for the entire Vegas Grand Prix weekend. So when you watch Tim's qualifying episode, he will have seen it in person, and he'll be recording near the track in Las Vegas, Nevada. 3 races to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, buddy.
Now, Tim, there was some pretty big news. We just played a video game. Pretty big news with the F1 video game. And the fact that yesterday they announced that they are going to do, it's sort of like a franchise announcement first. This is the first time in 18 years that we're going to have a development cycle without a new game. And the reason is that they are shelving it. There will be extra content available for 2026, but they want to reimagine this game in its feel, in its look. Codemasters basically said it's a major revamp for 2027. And they said, we're fully committed to the EA Sports F1 franchise. Our multi-year plan extends this year's excitement with a 2026 expansion and reimagines the F1 experience for 2027 to deliver even more for players at entry level around the world. The 2026 expansion will reflect a landmark season on track featuring brand new cars and lighter rule sets, as well as the arrivals of Audi and Cadillac on the grid. So if you want those liveries and teams and that sort of thing, then you will be able to get it via a DLC. Now, this is not a crazy idea when you consider something like Grand Theft Auto 5. We've been waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6 for years.
And forever.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to wait till next, I think it's supposedly this month, next fall. They had online, and they've released Grand Theft Auto updates for a decade. And it's made it an extraordinarily profitable franchise. What we don't normally see in sports games are these sort of missed cycles. And I've never understood it, because I felt like, hey, listen, if you want to give me DLCs that update everything and make it better or whatever, and patch things and make it slightly better, I'm willing to pay for that. What I'm not willing to pay for is the same game year after year after year with minor tweaks. And it looks like Codemasters finally understands that with the player base, because there's a lot of complaints about driver availability, track feel, which they've really worked on, especially when it comes to the elevations, and they laser scanned a lot of the tracks, Tim. They tried something this year where they flipped the tracks, some of them backwards, so you could race them backwards. I don't know. Nobody really cares about that. But they're saying that 2027 will look, feel, and play differently. What do you think? And I know that you're not like hooked into the video game space, but you play this game with a really, really good sim rig at SDPN. What do you think, from a driving perspective, it could really use to compete with something like maybe iRacing?
I think it's a good question, Adam, because there's like a couple of thoughts so Adam sent me this article that we're referring to yesterday. So on my flight down to Vegas, it was on Tuesday, and I was reading it, and we're on a big text chain, and I was kind of like, had a bunch of thoughts go through my head of like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, why would they do that? Because like you had said, when it comes to like EA and when it comes to sports video games, it's always being updated, but there is a new update every single year. where you have like Madden, right? Like Madden every year is different and they always have something new and something has changed and they've added things. And I wonder, Adam, if it comes down to the fact that with F1, with these cars and us heading into such a big regulation change with the power units, with the cars itself, with the handling of the cars, and also like with battery deployment, how is it going to work? What's it going to look like? What can the cars actually do? I wonder if that has a lot to play into this, where no one knows. And if nobody knows, then how is the game developer supposed to push this game forward into the future? How are they supposed to, grab onto this and give the fan a different experience that replicates what these drivers are actually doing for the next season when we don't even know? And I think I feel that has a load to do with why we're not getting an F1 26. Like
we just don't know how the rules are going to react. Right.
Well, not only just that, Adam, but like the feel of it, right? Like the F1, like when we're playing on the sim in F1 25, it does feel like, I can, even though I'm not feeling it through my butt because we don't have the shaker,
$100,000 motion shaking
the D box like shaker thing. Like I can still feel it like through the wheel, right? Yeah. And I can still kind of feel little things through the power pedals, and I'm just kind of like, I get a sense for it, right? And I'm just like, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, if I go a little bit further, I know I'm going to get a little kick of oversteer here. Or, yeah, I've gone into a little too hot here. And I go, oh, that's understeer. Or that's a bump. Oh, I can use this bump. And then you try to dance around it, or you come up with a different type of a setup, which I've been experimenting with on the sim. Like, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but our last like four or five F1 sim laps that we've done, I've actually gone in and like experimented heavily with like different setups just to try and find a better feel for myself, because I always found that when we were playing it just like on the normal mode, where it's like, oh, aerodynamics should be at mid-level for this track. Yeah, I'll just select that and it's pretty straightforward, but the car just kind of plows through everything. It doesn't do what I want it to do, and I can't really get it to do what I really, really want it to do. And so I've gone in and I've come up with these different types of setups that got it really close. It's really loose sometimes on the back end. I got a lot of front positive on it. And so I think, Adam, when we look at what is that going to be like for 2026, I don't think the developers know how to make that. And I don't think the drivers know how to explain it to them. Like Max Verstappen's done a lot of, through his deal with EA, he's done a lot of work with F1 24, F1 25 to try and like help them with how certain things feel with the car. Like, yes, you can do this. No, you can't do that. Yes, this is how it would feel. It doesn't feel like this. You can change this, but you can't change that. And when you change this, it does this. And this is how it does it on this track. And this is how and so like refining that over a year to try and get that out there. And then obviously the power unit, the DRS capability, the electronic, like the battery deployment, trying to figure all that out. How is that going to work? How quickly does it deploy? How quickly does it drain? All of those things. And you try and pack that into a new set of regulations where all of that's going to change, and you try to develop that for F1 26. We're going to have cars, Adam, that are going to be on the track in January in Barcelona testing. And so a lot of these teams, well, all of them, they already have like chassis, tubs, things like that are already built. And that's like ahead of schedule. Like that is way ahead of any schedule they've ever had. Usually when it comes to a new regulation this big, we haven't had one this big in a very long time. It normally takes them till about January, mid-January, the end of January before they have a chassis even like built. A lot of these teams actually have a chassis built and like ready to roll for mid-January. And their sims and the things that their sims are saying is different from every single team. Right. Not every one team has the exact same information coming out of what this whole regulation is going to feel like and is going to be able to do. And so I think, Adam, that has a lot to do with why we're not getting an F1 26. That's my take on it anyways, my feel for it. When you try to compare it also to like iRacing, because you had mentioned iRacing, and I've been playing a lot of iRacing to try and upgrade our license, and we can do some live streaming and stuff during the wintertime. iRacing is like so realistic. It is very, very close to like the real thing. And I remember trying to get the license for Formula cars.
Yeah.
And so I had to go through either doing Formula V or I had to use Formula 1600s. And I'm like, well, I came up through Formula 1600s. I might as well just try that. And I was kind of like, it's not going to feel like a Formula 1600. And it's not going to, as soon as I got on that thing, man, it was like flashback city. Like everything I knew about the car just kind of came rushing back. How it operates, how it likes to be driven, the mechanical grip on it. What can I change for spring settings to make it a little bit more front positive, a little looser back end? What do I need to do? Like everything just came back, and it was so realistic. I was actually using like bumps on different types of tracks and like high speed corners to turn the car into the corner, like cool. It actually would be in real life. And I'm just like, that's really scary. And so I was like, holy geez, thing's incredible. And F1 25, as great as it is, wasn't at that level, like at that realism level. And I think they want to get there, even though the game is pretty good, man. Like I'm not really trying to compare the two of them, because I think they do their own thing, and the two of them are different in their own way.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to replicate sort of like what iRacing actually does. And I think if they want to take that next step, then I think having this next year off is probably a good thing.
Yeah. I want to know, like, because the thing about iRacing is it's very clear in its scope, right? It is for the hardcore sim racer.
Yeah, for sure.
With the F1 EA Sports games, they are for hardcore racers, but they also are for the everyman. And so they have a bigger scope, and it's hard to serve both masters on that.
Yeah, good point.
And like they tried it with the F1 Life thing, where it's like you build a condo or something, like, and no one cares. Like that part of it, I think what they really need for the average fan who can't drive like you do, Tim, and does, and they have a PlayStation or an Xbox controller or whatever they have.
Yeah.
I think they need a great career mode. It's got to go beyond like story mode. Story mode's fine. But where you're able to create your own player, come up through F3, F2, and then F1. And what's annoying about Formula One video games is that like you're able to just sign with Ferrari or Mercedes right out of the gate. Like you should have to work your way up. And there's been a little bit of that this year, but it's not been the greatest.
I was just going to say, like, you can do kind of something like that. I think if we go back to F1 24, and again, like those watching, I never played F1 23, and I didn't. As soon as we got into F1 24 this season, like that was it for me when it came to like playing racing video games. Like I play a lot of video games at them. But I don't play racing video games because it's just not the real thing, and I know what the real thing feels like, and I know I'd just get really frustrated with it and be like, I'm not doing this. So this season, this year, this is the first time I've actually played racing games, like legit. Like I played Gran Turismo when I was a kid, but nothing like this. And so when we started playing and there was a career mode for F1 24, I never went into it, but I mean, it looked like you could do Formula 2, build your career from Formula 2 to jump into F1, and there was a lot that went into that, and it sounded like it was a really fun thing for fans to do and to play with and to elevate yourself. And there were different settings on the car, what made it a little easier to drive and all that kind of stuff. And then same thing with F1 25, but like I don't know if it's something where you start in like F4 and then graduate to F3 and then F2 before you finally get into F1. Like I don't know if that's something people would be interested in having to do. Yeah. Right? Because some people just want to get on there and just be like, screw it. I just want to drive an F1 car. Right? Yeah. I just want to in this virtual world and see what that's like. See how hard it is. Turn all the assists off and let's see what happens, right? Yeah. So I don't know how they kind of change that part of it, because it's not when you go to play Madden, like you're you're playing that you're in the NFL, like and that's it, right? Like, I don't know if there's like you go through college and then you come through college and you're all of a sudden in the NFL and you're a backup to Patrick Mahomes and then finally you get your chance because he gets injured or whatever. I don't know if it does that because I haven't played Madden since I was like a teenager. but again, Adam, like I don't know if that is something of interest for fans who are fans of the NFL, NHL, NBA, if that is something that they actually really, really, really want to do, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Because like, how do you make that interesting?
I don't know.
Like, how do you make that part of it fun?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's got to be, Formula One. Obviously, every team is run very differently, and there's an inherent unfairness and that sort of thing. Like, what I think I get annoyed sometimes with in the career modes settings and stuff for Formula One is there's like an inherent fairness. Like, we're going to act like if you drive for Haas, your challenges are going to be somewhat similar than they are when you drive for Ferrari. And I know that some of that is like you can't put into a game that Ferrari is a lot more political and Gene Haas is super cheap.
Yeah, no.
But it would be nice if you could, right? Like, it'd be nice if they, said, hey, the budget for this team is a little bit less than, whatever. Or, the budget's going to start lower here. And then if you succeed, then the budget goes up or whatever. I think what F1 fans are craving is authenticity, and so when you flatten that sort of inherent unfairness, I think people get it makes the game vanilla, and so yeah, I'm hoping that they are aware of that and are open to that.
So you don't basically what you're saying is like you don't want someone just to be able to jump in and be able to just like drive an F1 car and have all the assists on and just go and do whatever. You don't want that. You want people to like start from the ground up.
If you're going to do career mode, you can have an easy career mode and a medium career mode, a hard mode career. Like we can break this out. But what I would like if I was going to invest the time and do it properly is I would want to start in F3 and I would want to start not having great skills, and I would want to start, not having a ton of great sponsors and having to earn them as you go up, and then, like a little bit more of a realistic look, because what do they say? It costs $10 or $11 million just to run a driver in F2 these days.
Oh yeah, like
it's crazy.
I would say like probably to do a full F2 season proper with one of the best teams on the grid, like one of the top teams on the grid, I would say you're probably looking at, I don't know, $6 million for the season.
So you're probably going to need to get out there and sell. By sell, I mean drive well.
Yeah, that too, right? I mean, but if you are a driver and you do know how to like sell sponsorships and stuff or partnerships, then yeah, that's part of the job. If that's what you got to do, if you don't come from a wealthy background. But just some quick news here, Adam, as we're recording, but I've been given the news that Jack Crawford is set to drive Abu Dhabi FP1, and he's also going to be scheduled to do the young driver test at the end of the season. And I think this, Adam, is all in preparation to get him ready to be Aston Martin's reserve driver for next season. However, that has not yet been announced, whether or not Crawford will be the reserve driver or not. Obviously, Jack at this moment is fighting for the F2 championship. I think he's only a few points back of the lead in F2. And I think, Adam, for Jack, he does or will eventually, I think, in my opinion, deserve a shot in F1 for sure. But yeah, I think at the moment, being able to do this test with Aston Martin at the end of the season, the young driver test is really, really, really important. So yes, at the moment, let's see here. Crawford's trailing Fornaroli 188 to 169. So not that much. And then Richard Verschoor, he's all the way down in 150. He's in fourth with 151. And it's Luke Browning in third. Crawford second. Fornaroli is leading the way. But it's interesting to see Richard Verschoor all the way down there. But anyway, sorry, I digress. My apologies, everyone. So yeah, Jack Crawford in line to potentially win the F2 title.
Wow, good for him. That's a nice reward at the end of the season. We'll be excited to see what he does. Now, Tim, lastly, before we go, because we got to wrap it up here, the Formula One movie, Part 2, negotiations have begun.
Oh, God.
So
Has it really? Really?
Yeah.
Are you giving me something I don't know? Hold on a second here. Is that true?
Joseph Kaczynski, who is the F1 movie director, confirmed sequel plot talks with Apple currently. I guess they can't call it F2. There was a lot of people online who were speculating that it's got to be Sonny, the main character, has a kid that's, racing age, and he doesn't find out, and then he coaches him into F1 or something like that. Like, that's got to be the next storyline, right?
It has to be, right? Or Brad Pitt is like the team owner or something like that, and he's looking for more talent to add to his pipeline of drivers. But I think Damson Idris needs to be the focal point, I think, of the next F1 movie if they are to go ahead and make one. But the last time I talked to Joseph Kaczynski, Adam, it wasn't that long ago. I think he was working on he was going to be working on or he was in conversation to direct like a Miami Vice remake.
Oh, cool. That would be fun.
Let me see here. I'm just going to do a quick Google because, obviously I'm not plugged into the Hollywood scene.
No.
I don't want to start giving people wrong information here, but I could have sworn he was going to be in line to direct that remake. Let's have a quick look here. Miami Vice remake. Yeah, directed by Joseph Kaczynski, scheduled for release on August 6th, 2027. So there you go. So that's what he's going to be working on, right? And you want him to be working on the F1 sequel, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, Adam, he probably goes from doing Miami Vice remake, probably takes a couple months off, and then they start to retool and bring him back to do an F1 sequel if that's what they're going to do for I don't know, maybe 2028, 2029. By that time, Brad Pitt's gonna be fossilized, right? He's not getting in a race car, dude.
No, but he will, Tim. But he will.
Yeah. He has to come back. The team is losing so badly. He's gonna have to
he can't race. He's done.
Get back into shape mid-season, jump in the car, and wrestle a victory out of the thing to save the team. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's got to be it's a protege situation. Has to be.
Yeah, there's no way you can be driving, man. I could barely get my head around the fact that he was driving in the first one.
Well, Tim, listen, I hope you have an amazing weekend in Vegas. We can't wait to see what you come back with. Obviously, we'll be watching SportsCenter, TSN for all of your updates throughout the weekend, and we'll catch up at the end of it. After the Grand Prix is over, and we will get a sense of how it all went in Vegas.
One quick thing, Adam, before we sign off here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to a qualifying podcast on the Friday.
Okay.
So just, apologies, everybody. But Adam and I will be back on Sunday.
Let's do it. See you then.
Buddy. Thanks, Adam.